Property Graduate is the show for aspiring property developers and investors to win a life-changing opportunity that money can't buy. The prize is twofold: forming a property company with renowned property guru John Howard and owning 50% of the shares. John is one of the most experienced property developers and investors in the UK today. With almost 4 decades experience in the industry, he's been there and done that, having purchased and sold around 4,000 homes, apartments and developments. This savvy businessman is putting £1 million of his own money into the new company so the winner can buy and develop a property. With a 50% stake in it, they'll automatically receive a 50% share of the profit and potentially have John as a business partner for life. You're watching Property Graduate. Welcome to the 4th and final episode of The Property Graduate. In the first episode, we saw 20 hopefuls being interviewed, eager to prove to John they should be his property graduate. The contestants came from far and wide and had varying degrees of experience in the property industry, but only 10 could go through to the second round, the challenge. In that stage, they were whittled down to 3 after a tough appraisal test where they had just 1 hour. In this episode, the final 3 contestants, that's Kimberly, Alfred and Eleanor, have been asked to prepare a potential property deal that is live and available to purchase, one they think could make a great investment. They have to present it to the panel, who will then pick the winner. The panel will make its decision based on who's performed the best across the whole competition. However, there can only be one property graduate. But first, let's find out how the contestants are feeling, starting with Chartered Accountant Kimberly.
So Kimberly, here we are, Judgment Day. How are you feeling?
I'm really excited. I feel like I just can't wait to get in there now, run through my deal and just see where this goes. It's been such an exciting journey. I never thought I'd get this far, but I am. So I'm just looking forward to it. I can't wait now.
Do you think you've got a strong investment plan, something that the panel are really going to be impressed by?
It's not the most imaginative deals. I was hoping to bring something a little bit more imaginative, but it's investable. It's all about the numbers at the end of the day, and it's got the good numbers. And actually, as I was going through the due diligence, it was all kind of quite favourable. Actually, normally you start to find out little things that aren't so great, and actually, it was quite a good proposition. So I'd be interested to see if they want to take it forward. So.
Do you still think that you could be the right person to work with John?
I think we could work well together. I think we could get on pretty well, and I'm a safe pair of hands, being an accountant, etc. And I think, that's somebody that I think he could get along with and need in his business. As it is a business, it's not just about property. So we'll see.
How do you think you're going to cope if the panel asks you something that you're just not sure of and you've never experienced?
I think because he acknowledges that we're kind of earlier in our career than some. I won't know all the answers, but I just find the answers. That's part of the journey, is to work on it and find the answers that we need to move forward, and that's part of the mentorship that I really appreciate John's input.
If you win, you can be one step closer to having a swimming pool.
Oh yeah, definitely. I haven't really thought that far. Everything's been about today, focusing on the deals. I haven't thought what will happen if I do actually win. I guess that's when actually the real work will start. That's when I've got the financial backing, I've got the mentorship, and the funding. So that's when it'll be right. If they want to invest in this deal, great, let's go. It's quite a quick deal, so we need to kind of move quite quickly, or I'll be on the hunt for the next deal. But I try not to think too far ahead.
Well, very good luck. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Despite being the youngest contestant in the competition, at just 22 years old, Alfred has impressed the panel throughout. Let's see how he's feeling.
Alfie, here you are through to the final. How are you feeling? How are those nerves doing?
It's really exciting, but it's obviously nerves to comprehend with. But we got to this stage, so it's a good place to get to. I'm very happy.
Do you think you've got a strong investment opportunity for the panel?
Yeah, very strong. I think they'd find it hard to resist, which I think is very good. But it's a good deal, definitely.
You are the youngest candidate, and you were certainly one of the youngest people to take part. Do you feel that that might hold you back, just maybe a lack of experience, or do you think that that's something that you can push forward?
I don't think it will really make much difference, really. I think most people that came here, they kind of had a bit of experience, but maybe not experience in the sort of projects that we'll be doing after winning this. But I've got some experience with projects underway at the moment, so I don't think it will be an issue, really. I don't think age matters too much. But if it got to this stage, then clearly he sees something in me. So.
Well, it's very exciting, and I really wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you.
And I know I'm sure you'll keep smiling.
Yeah. Thank you.
And last to complete the trio is Eleanor, who has experience in both investment banking and property development.
Eleanor, really well done to get this far. How are you feeling today?
Good, excited, and really grateful actually to have made it this far.
Do you think you've got a strong investment proposition?
I do think so, and hopefully I've got a deal that is something that John hasn't actually come across before, which I think is something a bit unique, which isn't on many people's radar. So I'm hoping that that might be the touch that wins it.
You've got to know John a little bit throughout this process. Is he still the guy that you think you could work with?
Definitely, 100%. I love the fact that he is open to opportunities in a variety. It's not, he doesn't have one set strategy. For him, it's around looking at different areas, different deal types, and ultimately just the opportunity itself, which I think is really good and something that I would, like to work more with.
You're positive?
I'm a positive person generally, so, for me, I just think all I can do is my best, and hopefully that's enough.
Really good luck. I'm sure it will go well.
Thank you.
It's time to see how our three finalists handle this last stage of the competition called The Deal. First up to pitch her potential project is Kimberly.
So first today, the final. How exciting
Here
is
we
that?
are. We're here for the final.
It's come round so quick. We've got Kimberly coming in, and Kimberly's bringing the deal in Wells in Somerset. And actually, I know a bit about Wells because I did a deal in Glastonbury down the road from Wells, and we stayed in a very nice hotel in Wells, and it's got the smallest cathedral in the country. Beautiful cathedral.
Wow.
So I know exactly where this is.
Fabulous. Be great to see what she's come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kimberly, would you like to tell us about this deal that you've suggested that we have a look at?
Yep, so it's a grade 2 listed property in Wells in Somerset, which is a very cute tourist kind of town at the bottom of the Mendip Hills. So downstairs, the ground floor is quite a large floor plate, 340 square metres. It's already tenanted to quite a good blue chip for another 7 years. There is a break in another couple of years on that, paying £85,000 a year. Rent already. The upper floors there's 2 floors, about 200 square metres altogether, and there is already planning and listing builded consent to convert the 2 flats into 4 flats already. So that's what this deal is about, just building out, not the most imaginative, I understand. It's on for auction at the next Allsop auction a week tomorrow, viewings Wednesday. So this is why I've selected this property. So I've run the numbers. The guide price is 750 to 800, so we can buy it for £1 million, right on budget, John.
Yeah.
Bang on, thankfully. And we could spend about £500,000 on it, most of that being on the build, the rest of it on the finance cost and a few little bits and pieces on fees. We should get obviously that £85,000 for the couple of years on top, and I believe we can sell all of it for about 1.8 million GDV, so that's £500,000 profit. And I think that should take about 2 years. I've allowed for a little bit of extra time. What I liked about this deal is it's ready to go, ready to build out. At the moment with planning, a few of the architects I've spoken to of late have just said 6-week projects to take it at least 6 months to get through. So I quite like the fact that it's ready to go. We've got certainty of the listing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that, John, you like listed buildings. You seem to have a lot of juice in those. So I hope you won't be put off by a listed building.
Juice in those. That's a new term for me. Is that a trendy new term?
You can
Kimberly,
quote me if you want.
Yeah, I'll quote you on that next time I use that terminology.
And it's cash flow in, which, you know, I like. And there's lots of options with it in the future should various exits, and it's in high demand. So that's why I liked this deal, even though it's quite simple in nature, you know, but I quite like it.
Well, Kimberly, thank you for bringing the deal to us. Who would like to start to analyse it?
I'd just like to ask, how many did you look at to come to this deal in the last couple of weeks since we saw you?
I've probably flicked through about 200.
200, okay. So this is the best of those 200?
Yeah, I analysed about 60 to the next level. You know, doing like the how many can I get in there? You know, I was down to about 5 minutes in the end, so I was getting pretty good at that.
Oh, that's in John's league.
And then I took about 10 to the next level.
Better than the hour plus some of them were doing it last time.
And then I took about 10 to like the next level, but I found a lot of problems. You know, there was restrictions on titles, or it was under offer already, or whatever. So yes, this is, I think, all considered the best one, although I've got plenty of other leads for others. And there's another one in this town actually, which I really like, which, you know, might actually be a bit better because it's not as well marketed.
Yeah, you've got listed a whole load of them here, so
yeah.
Well,
Because
with all due respect, Kimberly, I could do what you've done. Write out a load of deals
I appreciate it. I'm happy to send
enough.
the evidence.
You know, I'm not really interested in things that aren't good enough.
Did you visit because I saw you made a note about talking to the store manager?
Yeah, I just phoned him up. Yeah, so I phoned the architect that did the planning. I spoke to the store manager, had a really nice chat with him. Like, I was like, would you like to live there? And he's like, I spoke to a number of agents in there, which is in the back, and a few of the local contractors in the area. And one of the agents has actually been in this property about 5 years ago, which was helpful. So she gave me useful information. She said there was like, you know, birds had frequented and things like that. So clearly the roof probably needs a bit of work. So that's what I've deduced from it.
Yeah, and you asked the store manager how the business was doing.
Yeah, of course. I need to know that, right? That's the key thing. Is the covenant there? You know, it looks fine, but obviously the results that we've seen, you know, they were March 20, right before COVID, although they only published them Feb 21, so there was a lot of information about what they'd done. Clearly there was an unqualified audit report in there by EY saying they're going to last another 12 months. And they said they've done pretty well. It's been a bustling summer for them, you know, and actually with the staycations, they've actually fared pretty well in the time frame, and they've said the whole company's doing pretty well. So fingers crossed the covenant will last, it'll hold its value. And if they do break in a couple of years, options to redevelop, options to get, you know, there's side entrance at the back to the rear of the shop, so you could split it off, have an office at the back, maybe do something else, get some resi. You know, I think there's a lot of options with this site.
So who's the seller and why are they selling?
I'm trying to think if this is the same one as the one that I looked at. I did speak to the architect about this and asked them their opinion. He did say they were a large property company that didn't take his advice on certain things. I assume that they have costed it up, and perhaps at that time, 2-3 years ago, it wasn't viable. So it's something to bear in mind. They've put it on an auction now. You know, maybe they didn't want to hold it. Maybe they're not that type of company. I don't think he knew why they didn't want to hold it.
Okay, so I think I won't accuse you of being lazy, because that would be wrong.
Okay.
Because you are I can tell you're hardworking. However, you've copped out a bit here by just going to an auction catalogue and going, well, that one will do. You know, that's what it appears to be. You've done an awful lot of research on it. I accept that, Kimberly, but actually, you know, I could find 20 deals like this, and who knows whether they're any good or not, because they're in an auction.
Yeah,
might go for 400,000 or 500,000 more than you think. Sometimes, you know, I've been to auctions and in the old days with my banker's cheque or whatever, and I haven't even got a bid on it. I haven't even got a bid because it's already gone for too much more than I was paying. I've driven 250 miles to get to the auction. Online, a bit different now. I accept that.
John,
the reason you have to find a reason why they're selling, okay? And you've told me, and I think I know the reason. I might be wrong, but I think I know the reason. They're a big property company, I expect, because they're using all sorts. So big, you know, they're big auctioneers. They've got a break clause in 2 years' time. That should have rung alarm bells completely with you, because even if even if they want to stay there, the first thing they're going to do is reduce the rent on you. They're going to say, well, you know, we're not doing as well as we want, this, that and the other. We'll give you half the rent if you want us to stay, otherwise we're leaving.
I think the property is good for redevelopment.
But
so
that's
I think
what they'll say.
I appreciate that.
And on the rent of 85,000, that would be valued at about 1.2 million if it was on a long lease.
Yeah.
So why do you think I'm wrong?
I think because we can do other things with the property, we can redevelop it. I think that would be our counter negotiation target on that. I know it's got an upwards only rent review, but I appreciate.
But at 85, the rent review is irrelevant because there's a break clause, so they can walk away, and we're left with an empty property, no rates because it's listed. To be fair,
yeah.
However, you know, unless you're a lot better than me, and I hope you are, how are you going to make more money than 85 grand, pro rata 85 grand a year out of 2 small shops in Wells? And I know Wells well because we did a deal in Glastonbury a few years ago, conversion, and we used to stay at the very nice hotel in Wells, and it is a lovely, lovely town, by the way. You picked a beautiful town, or city, because it's got a cathedral. Yeah. So it is lovely, but the reason for me this is on the market is because of the break clause. And I said, even if they're not in trouble, they're using it as a stick to beat landlords with. These tenants are, and reduce the rent.
Is that not the opportunity though?
Well, that's exactly what I think. The opportunity is because we can hold value. This is why I spoke to the store, because they only started 3 years ago. Clearly, they did their research to say this is a really good town to be in.
Kimberly, they don't care. They're ruthless. These people. They are absolutely ruthless. They'll go and move across the road at another shop that's half the rent.
I mean,
because they can, and because they're powerful, and they're bigger than we would ever be, and they're powerful. And I cannot see how you're going to redevelop that at the front. To re-let those shops at the front, you'll get half the rent they are now. Every high street is being cut in half, the rents. So you only get half at the most. If you can get them let quickly, which I doubt, we'll get half the rent at the front, and then you've got some probably secondary type of some development out the back that doesn't look very nice because it's the back of shops. So I think you've done yourself a disservice today, Kimberly. Okay. I really do. And it's a shame.
If you've got half the size of shop at the front, if your plan with this is development, then...
And there is, you know, the viability of this. There is it is a massive floor plate with a bit of land at the back.
Yeah.
So,
but it's a listed building, and that should alarm.
Yes,
listed building. That. You know, trying to get new build in the surroundings of listed building is very difficult. So really, there's a number of things that shout at me that this deal is not for me. Now that doesn't stop you winning the show, and doesn't stop you working with me at all, Kimberly. But I think you should have brought a better deal into me today. And
I think it's absolutely fair. You know, the auction was my last point of call. The other options that I had just either weren't meeting the hurdle rate, or there were too many obstacles that meant that it would just take too long. So it was the best of the crop. But,
I understand that, and I completely understand why you did what you did.
I think given you've looked at 60 deals and you've put a pack together that's an inch thick, I think lazy was a little bit harsh there, John.
Yes,
I think it's fair.
No, I don't know.
Easy, I think.
Kimberly, to be fair, lazy was not the word. It's a lazy deal, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. The effort you put into it is absolutely fine, but the deal is lazy. You know, it's in an auction auction catalogue. Yeah. It's not difficult to just say, "Oh, I'll pick that one. We can make it work if it's this price." Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would never say you're lazy, Kimberly. And if you were lazy, you wouldn't be in the final. Yeah, so don't worry about that. I used the wrong word, and I apologise for that. We're not looking for the finished, you know, person, are we? Person. We're looking for ambition. We're looking for aspiration and talent. And you've certainly got that in abundance.
Absolutely.
So let's see how you get on.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, all of you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you.
Following Kimberly into the room is the ever-smiling Alfred. But will the panel wipe the smile off his face when he presents his property deal?
Yeah, he's still smiling.
He's still smiling. We're just saying, will Alfred still be smiling? And will he be smiling at the end?
Who knows? Will you
Who
be
knows?
smiling?
Well, will I be smiling? Quite right too.
It's important.
So, Alfred, tell us about this deal.
So what we've got here is it's a property in Newbury. It's called Winchcombe House.
Yep.
It's a 4-storey office building at the moment, currently tenanted by a music company.
Yep.
So what they do is on the ground floor, they've got a sort of a retail unit which they sell instruments by consultation and online. Then they've got 2 floors of sort of tuition rooms where they take students in, usually in the afternoons. And on the 4th floor, they've got a complete recording studio.
So good
wow.
soundproofing then.
Yeah, really good. So there's also the EPC is C because there's so much insulation in the building and it's all double glazed. So yeah, I'll come on to that in a moment. So in terms of, there's two schemes on this. One is the development scheme, 7 flats, 1 beds, with a GDV of 1.295. And the purchase price would be 520,000, and the spend on that strategy is 450, of which 300 is build cost. The rest is finance and stamp duty and stuff.
So Alfred, where did you find this?
It's on market. It's been on market for 2 years. So it's through Estates Gazette.
2 years.
Yeah. So the reason behind that is so it's a strange one because it doesn't appeal to the developer. So the minute you pick up the phone to the agent, he says there's no development potential, and the reason he says that is because there's no parking with the building, but it's just over the way from the train station and the bus station, and it's right in the centre of town.
You'd love your agent to tell everyone that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they're the perfect agents to bite off, by the way.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. Sorry, Al.
Even the receptionist, the minute
Carry
you pick
on.
it up, she's like, no, there's no development. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Perhaps
see.
they want to buy it. In the old days, they'd be buying it themselves, but they're not allowed to these days,
Yeah.
are they?
No.
And
Okay.
obviously the other market's an investor market. It's got a tenant.
Yeah.
But the tenant's on a licence. There's no security of tenure, so you can't get a mortgage on it. So you'd have to negotiate the lease prior to buying it. So I don't think it kind of fits those 2 markets, and you've got to be creative to kind of find out which way to go for it.
So there's also an asset management
Well,
Yeah,
potential.
exactly.
Alfred,
Yeah.
we can buy it,
Yeah.
so don't worry about that.
So in terms of the asset management scheme, that's so they're on a licence and will re-gear the lease 15 years, which they've decided we spoke briefly about that, and they say that's kind of what they want to get out of it. They will go if they have to, and they've got no security. So they will, if we wanted them out, they could go. And the property is being sold with vacant possession if required as well.
Right.
So
What notice to the tenant?
28 days in written notice.
Great.
So just the other thing on that is as well that the vendor is also sort of the tenant, and that the vendor's a partner company, was a partner company of the music company, but that investor's now exited and that the investor's selling the building off. So there is kind of you can kind of negotiate between the 2 parties a bit.
And they would have invested a lot in that building, putting that soundproofing
Exactly.
up
Yeah.
and so on.
At least.
Capital allowance is written all over it.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
read your mind.
Did you look at the capital allowances?
Yeah, I've had an estimate of 150,000 for it.
Yeah, I
Right.
saw that. Though I did see you were going to transfer them
If
transfer them on.
Yeah, if it was an asset management and we were to sell it onwards, then we wouldn't benefit from claiming the capital allowances because obviously it's phased over 5 years. So we would sell it if at auction with the kind of the note that there's a capital allowances report and you can claim this amount, which should help to achieve better value. So in terms for the GD,
And just to say, you
Yes.
hadn't budgeted for a capital allowances survey there when you're.
it's sort of in the legal survey fees of 4.5
okay.
to 5k. Well, in fact, they take a cut of the allowance, so there's no particular cost. It's kind of the benefit is the cost.
Yeah, it's usually 4% or £1,500 minimum.
Okay. So this 3,100 square foot, so it divides nicely into 7 flats. You'll see in there's a unit stack on how the floors lay out, and
And you put that number in, but is that net or gross?
that's
that
net
square
lettable
foot?
area.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it would have been nice if you put that next to the square
yeah.
footage, so
Yeah.
it was clear, because that can be 10-15% different. So.
Yeah, so that's excluding stairwell cores, lifts, and
Yeah.
all that sort of hallway space. So
Okay.
that's the kind of usable space for the flats.
So that was the net figure
Yeah,
in here, but you've made sure you use the gross figure in your base cost calculation, yeah?
so it's the lettable area. So that's kind of out. So it's the area that's lettable is also what's the residential.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant on the 7 one-bed flat option.
Yeah, so that's costed at £96 per square foot on the net lettable area.
Net less whatever.
Okay.
Yep, that's okay.
So it would be a straightforward Class O application if the development was to take place. Obviously, if it's asset management, then we don't need to go through that. we would need to get that in before the end of the month, so that could be a bit tight. In terms of the sort of the building, it's very attractive building, as you can see, and it would convert quite nicely to residential flats, and it's ideally primed for location that tenants or owner occupiers would want.
Is it next to the traffic lights?
It is, yes. It's on the corner.
What's the problem with that?
Lots of cars, but that street's pedestrianised, so there's not so much traffic going up there.
No, it's just the traffic lights. You know, when they're all sat there. I know to be fair, it's less of a problem these days because electric, and also a lot of the modern cars switch off when they're at traffic, so it isn't quite as bad as you. But there's all the start up and the fumes and so on. But
not fabulous for the ground floor flats, right?
No, not fabulous for the ground floor flats. No.
Yeah. So there's a lot of development going on in Newbury. There's around 700 units in planning at the moment, but 650 of those are build to rent. So there's kind of a market for the build to sell. Probably one of the exit strategies is to rent it, but I'm thinking that over the long term, that's going to be difficult when there's kind of new stock coming to market.
And what's the population of the area?
I think it's about 45,000.
Okay.
But there's a
Alfred,
lot.
you shouldn't think you should know.
Yeah, sure.
One thing I haven't in your, and by the way, this is all good work. Well done, congratulations.
Yeah, got a
See
sensitivity
we
analysis
can see
in
why
there.
you're in the final. I'm not sure about what a sensitivity report is, but anyway,
Like
I'm
that.
sure you'll teach me,
Me and
what
Fiona
that
like
is.
that bit.
Helen and Fiona will teach me what that is at lunchtime. So
Yeah, we'll teach you how to be sensitive.
that's the one, yeah. Thank you. So you don't mention in here, none of this do you mention about the Help to Buy scheme?
That's in the unit stack and affordability. That's the 95% mortgages.
That isn't Help to Buy.
No, that's
the government's
sure.
That one. Yeah.
underwriting 95% mortgages. So you've missed the trick there.
Okay.
And it should be in here, and it's not in here. And I'm disappointed that it's not in here. I want to know why it wasn't in there.
I considered that the 95% mortgages was sufficient, but I'll look into that in the future.
Over 5 units, Help to Buy.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Well, Alfred, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go and relax.
Yeah.
And we'll see you shortly.
Okay. I'll also add that in the back there's my kind of deals that I'm currently negotiating and discussing, which, if this one's not of interest, they're the kind of ones that I like and I'm kind of working on.
How many deals did you look at?
I
couldn't count, but those are 8 deals that
10, 20?
hundreds.
100?
Yeah, constantly.
Right.
One bit of advice.
Yeah.
Don't put your photograph in the back like that. You're a
Okay.
good-looking boy. Why you want to show yourself with a hat round the wrong way?
You're looking like a backpacker.
You know,
Yeah,
I want
sorry.
a partner that's going to look professional and smart. If we
Sure.
have to go and see the bank manager, well, there isn't such a thing anymore, but you know what I mean, a banker
sure.
of some sort, I hope you're not going to turn up like that.
Okay. Yeah. Understood.
Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
You look great today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alfred.
Last up is Eleanor, who's ready to give it all she's got.
Eleanor, welcome back.
Thank you.
You've brought a whole bookload of deals, which I'll be delighted to talk to you about after, I should say. But the idea was that you brought one. So which one do you want to?
It's the one with the orange tab on the market.
Right,
It's
Leicester.
Yes.
Okay. Interesting, because that's not the one I'd have picked. But there we go. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I picked a deal which is one that I thought it might be something that you've not come across before, which
There's
would be...
not much I haven't come across before.
That's
Eleanor.
ambitious, yeah.
That's ambitious.
Okay, so this is taking a lightweight industrial unit,
Yep.
and rather than doing the knockdown rebuild, which is probably what most people would do,
Yeah.
this is actually keeping the envelope and actually doing a part demolition through the centre to create a courtyard. And instead of building flats, this is actually to build terraced houses. So the courtyard in the middle, and then the houses would be on each side with them looking into the courtyard with a small garden in the rear, and then parking and cycle space. Effectively...
But quite far from the parking though, so if you were in the back end of that development,
Yeah.
you know, carrying your groceries to your house is going to be a bit of a thing.
So that's right, and but it would be no different than if you did have a flat, then you'd probably have to walk down or get a lift down. So that is actually one of the reasons why the GDV is marked down
On those
because of
ones.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't have parking right by your door.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's been factored into. So essentially it would be using permitted development, MA, to create those, and then also a planning application to adjust the roof line. So what that would do is then just give you some more volume without actually creating the floor space. And because you're using the existing envelope, the build costs are not as high as if you did have to knock down and rebuild the all of the space.
Let's go with the numbers.
That's a surprise.
So you're talking total construction costs and refurb costs of 1.25, and it's about a 10,000 square foot build, right? So we're at 125 a square foot. I mean, I take the point it's not kind of a complete demolition and rebuild, but is that realistic? Talk me through the thinking about that.
So essentially I worked on a basis of £1,000 a square metre. And because, so you would build directly off the slab, you wouldn't actually need to create new foundations. And then essentially just kind of basically in terms of the build costs, that was like a quote that I'd had for that work.
Is the strip out included in that as well?
Yeah.
And have you checked how would you check the foundations?
So this is something that you would need to do prior to actually completing on the deal. You'd need to drill some holes to make sure that the core is substantial.
I mean, the problem is with these conversions is to try and make them look attractive is the problem. And the other problem you have in an area like Leicester, and there's nothing wrong with Leicester, it's some nice areas of Leicester, is that the sell values are quite low in Leicester. And it's very hard to make these deals work because of the build costs. I still think £125 a square foot is light because you've got so much to do. You really have, apart from trying to make it look attractive. It's difficult. They're a bit unusual. So they're going to be, little bungalowy type flat roofy things. No one likes flat roofs for a number of reasons. One, because they don't look very nice. Two, because the roofs was always a problem with the flat roof. So many people got problems with flat roofs. So I think I would have tried to actually put some sort of gable end or some sort of, to make them look more attractive, because my concern is they're going to be the bottom end of the sale level prices because of how they look. However nice you make them inside, that would be my issue. And of course, if you put if you make a pitch roof on them, that's all more money. So then you go up to 150, 175 a foot. Yeah. And then if the resales are 250, it isn't worth doing.
Squeezing your margins.
And the resales aren't going to be more than 250 a foot, are they really? Because the average is, the most is about 270 in that area, isn't it? 265.
What's interesting is actually there's a lot of development going on right now in Fleckney specifically. So it seems to be an area that is in demand.
Leicester itself is on the up without question.
So who's the seller and why are they selling?
So they essentially are just using it as an office now, and they've had it for some time. They put it on for 750, but didn't really know, them and the agent, how to value it. So they've kind of put it on as a test. They haven't had offers anywhere near that price, and are open to conditional offers as well. They're not, in a massive rush. They're just using it as an office. If they find the right person.
Not in a rush. I never like two things when I'm looking at a deal. when I'm looking at a deal, and that is when it says it's for sale or to let, because it means they're not bothered about selling, or when people say they're not in a rush, they're not bothered, they're not in a hurry, and all this rubbish.
Unmotivated
Because unmotivated seller, virtually impossible to deal with.
Sometimes waiting for the market to clip their
exactly.
their price.
Yeah,
move up to their
agree.
price.
It's difficult. I think here, personally, you would have been better. And I've converted everything from a water tower to, you know, pumping station to hotels, all sorts. There's not much I haven't converted, but I would struggle to convert that. And I think that sometimes, although it's possible, like we've said before, you can try too hard.
Yeah.
And I think a new build boy will come along and knock that down and make a much nicer job of whatever we could do together with that. It would never look as nice as a new build development. And it is in a residential area, but I can't see them paying anything like $750 for it.
I did wonder when you looked at that, you know, did you consider knocking it down,
Yes.
getting planning, and then just selling it with planning?
Yeah, so I did a mass report on it, which basically looks at a comparison of all the planning applications in the area, and their steer was 10 flats. And I looked at then the build costs for that, and the build costs for 10 flats though was obviously a lot higher. So I was kind of operating in a sense of trying to bring a different deal because I wanted to do something that was a bit more unique, but also operating within the parameters that I'd been given. So all in, it's kind of like keeping that 2 million budget. And so it's, you know, I had a lot of other deals, for example, where, you know, lovely schemes, 18 flats, but the build costs were just too much. So it was really just trying to bring something.
No, I know, and I completely understand that. And what I like about it, you know, you're doing houses, not more flats. Well, you know, there's so many flats about, and I like the idea that you've done that.
They claim capital allowances, you know, on the building.
You're obsessed with these capital allowances, aren't you? You have taught me something about them, by the way.
It's money.
It's money. I appreciate that.
And we like profit.
We like profit. We love profit. We love profit.
My extra profit.
Yeah, agreed. My offer would go in with capital allowances.
So have you asked them if they've claimed it?
I haven't
yet?
asked if they've claimed it, but I don't think that they have.
Yeah.
But,
and that might be the angle you're looking for on the price, of course, a little bit. Is that they want perhaps a bit too much for it, really, for what it is. But on the other hand, if you've got some capital allowances.
Well, I was going to say, it looks like if they hadn't claimed, there's quite a lot of fixtures and fittings. You know, there could be they could be sitting on. There could be a very decent capital allowances claim in here. You could claim that potentially. Do a tear down. New build.
Well, there is that as well. You know, there are angles to it. I just think that it's going to cost more, unfortunately, than what you've got in to do it. And I know it's like how long's a piece of string almost, but I just think there's so much to do to make it attractive that you have to build in a bit more for the build cost. But listen, you've made a very good. A very good case, I think.
I probably would have, you know, if you're bringing something to John, I probably would like to see a financial summary table,
just
you know,
a very
showing contingencies, breakdown, unit breakdowns, all that,
net profit,
at a glance.
Net profit.
the net profit is in there.
I know it's in there.
But we don't want to have to scramble.
We had to scramble around to find it.
A summary page, you know.
That's been a learning for me. So I basically realised that, but it was a bit too late, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I will know for the next time.
Listen, you've done a good job.
Super.
Well done. Thank you very much. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you have it. Kimberly, Alfred and Eleanor have done all they can in the race to be crowned John Howard's Property Graduate 2021 and possible long-term business partner. After the break, we find out who the winner of this debut title is. Now the final three have pitched their deals to the panel, let's find out what John and his two associates, Helen and Fiona, think.
Well, finally, we've seen all three pictures. What do we think?
Wow, it's been quite the process, hasn't it?
It really has, you know, from the first round where they were all full of excitement, and then round two, we had a few meltdowns, didn't we?
We did have a few meltdowns.
And
very
then
disappointing. Round two for me was very disappointing.
But it showed us who could stack a deal.
Well,
and
absolutely.
Who couldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, that's it. And I think there were kind of two standout candidates from round two. But will they be the final two today?
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? So why don't we start with Kimberly, very nice lady, Kimberly. What do you think today?
What I like is the fact that they bought the deal to us. So they've had time to find something that works for them, and they've bought it. They've had plenty of time. Time's not an excuse anymore about evaluating the deal, and so they should have been bringing a great calibre of deal to us. And she did say she'd viewed 200 deals, but the deal she bought us, it didn't stand out.
Not really. Not really.
It
Helen,
didn't really. I think she'd done a lot of work in the background, but I think maybe kind of where she is on her, on her property journey, I think that began to show. So
I have to say, I was disappointed with Kimberly today, not because I don't think she's got some ability.
Oh yeah.
Because she clearly has. She's a very bright lady.
Yeah.
But I just thought she didn't do herself justice today with the deal she brought, and she should have. For me, she should have worked out that with a break clause in 2 years' time, with the high streets in the situation they're in, she should know that they're likely to drop the rent on the landlord by 50% probably.
Yeah.
And she didn't. It wasn't even mentioned. And I think that question.
I think that question is who's the seller and why are they selling should have been where it should have started.
For sure.
And I think it was
always absolutely. You always want to know if you can find out why it's on the market. And I think, I'm afraid today, she didn't do that.
I wonder if she overstretched herself. She tried to do kind of too much and fit too
Yeah,
much
I
in,
think
so that impacted the quality, because she's hungry, she's driven, she's talented, she's numerate, but today wasn't her finest day.
Wasn't her finest day.
Yeah. The thing is, the deal wasn't great, but Kimberly is great.
Yes.
Can we count on her to take that any kind of feedback and go and if she was picked and go and find the right deal for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I was surprised at Kimberly today.
I think she's keen though, and she's willing to learn. I think she would run with it, but she might need more hand holding.
More than I thought, actually, perhaps. So that's Kimberly. Alfred.
The ever-smiling Alfred.
Still smiling, even after I told him that he should have worked out that he should have worked out the Help to Buy scheme and mentioned it in his appraisal. He's still smiling.
Yeah. Interesting. They all missed something today, didn't they?
They all missed something.
Yeah.
I liked his deal. I thought he analysed it well.
Yeah.
Missed a big thing on the Help to Buy, but he'd also looked at two options and broke down both of those, which was good.
Yeah. And
He thinks outside the box, and his preferred strategy, kind of the regearing, the asset management, was, again, to me was the no-brainer.
Yeah.
And I like the way his mind thinks. He wasn't thrown by anything we asked
not
him.
even Fiona could throw him today, and she did try, didn't she? She did try. I mean, a couple of those figures and stuff you queried him on, and he came straight back with the answers.
Yeah.
Explain it,
I don't know that was right though, the rounding, because it should really read clearly.
I didn't buy that.
He even got the population right, just about.
Yeah,
I think that
he
might have
did.
been a guess, mind you, but I don't know.
But he guessed well.
He guessed well.
I have to say, for me, he didn't stand out to me in round one.
No.
But he's improved through the rounds.
And I liked him in round one, I have to say. And I still like him, but it's just whether or not he's a bit young, and has he fluked this deal? He looks okay, but we've got the full story, all the usual things that come out.
Is he ready for it?
Is he ready for it as well? Because there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I'll help him as much as I can, but he's going to be on his own. He's on his own, I'm not babysitting him. Yeah. I've got a big decision to make, haven't I, at the end of the day?
Big decision.
And then we've got Eleanor.
Who came with 4 deals.
She a bit of a show off. She came with 4 deals. I don't think out the 4 deals, she actually picked the best one to show us.
I'm
not
sure
convinced of that.
I think she went with the different angle. I want to stand out angle rather than this is the best deal angle.
Sometimes the simplest deals are the best deals, and she picked a deal to analyse that was actually quite complicated and not that attractive to do. And there was another option with it, which was to knock it all down, really.
She'd also missed a few key things. She hadn't really done the seller background work particularly. She said, I don't know to a couple of the questions.
Yeah, but she was honest. And actually, She didn't tell me off for giving her a too simple a deal this time.
Yes.
That didn't showcase her ability because she had to bring her own deal. And actually, I'm not sure that deal showcased her ability either, to be honest with you. I think she's probably brighter. And of course, a lot more experience than the other two as well. So you've got to remember that. To be fair to them, she is more experienced. But I thought she came across very well. I thought she answered a lot of the questions relatively well. And, she was a bit defensive last round.
Touch.
But this time I don't think she was. The problem is always, when in this situation, they can come and try too hard.
Yes.
And that you've got to take that into account a little bit.
Yeah.
Fiona. And I think,
definitely.
there is a bit of that about her.
Yeah.
That they do perhaps trying a bit too hard. But can I, Helen, can I work with her?
And this is it.
She's a very strong woman, isn't she?
You like strong women. Look who you surround yourself
I love working
with
strong women for a short period of time, but I'm not sure if I could. Mind you, we'll see. I mean,
she's a safe pair of hands.
Very safe pair of hands.
And very detailed, and she'd be great at running the project.
Yeah, she would.
But exactly like you have to gel and be able to work with this person, whoever it is.
I haven't made my mind up yet, and probably I should have done. Why don't you tell me who isn't going to be in my final two?
Sure. For me, that's Eleanor.
For me, I agree, Fiona, it's Eleanor.
That's interesting. I'm not sure I agree with you two. That's quite brave of me to say that, isn't it? Let's get them in, and I'm going to have to quickly decide.
Eleanor, Kimberly, Alfie. It's been a tough few weeks. There were 100 applicants, whittled down to 20, and here you are, the final 3. You've had to come up with potential investments and strategies to show that they could turn a good profit. It's not been easy. Today, the panel has been robust in its comments to you. They've liked some of your ideas and they've questioned your motives in other areas. But there can only be one winner. So, time to find out who the property graduate is. If you'd like to go through.
It's been an absolute delight to watch all of you progress through the rounds and to understand how you approach things and get to know you and see how you develop and your ideas and the way you think. Thank you so much. We've just enjoyed every minute with you.
It's been so great to meet you. I've really enjoyed these last 3 rounds, and today in particular, seeing the sort of deals that you guys like to do and find really interesting, and I've brought here today for John. And whatever happens going forward, I hope we can keep in touch. Because I think the 3 of you got such great futures in the property world. Yeah.
That's the nice bit done. Now, the 3 of you brought very different deals today, and of course, these are just examples of deals that you hopefully can do or we can do. However, I think all 3 of you missed a bit of a trick on each one, which is probably understandable. Eleanor, a little bit more surprised you didn't get the build cost right in my view, but we could discuss that, to be fair. And you are a lot more experienced and successful already in the property world, if you like. So that's a little bit different for you. Kimberly, I was disappointed today with the deal you finally brought us. And what worries me is that you looked at 200 and you ended up with that. Alfred, interesting deal you brought. You didn't mention Help to Buy, which has helped 500,000 people so far get on the property ladder in the UK over the last few years. And whatever anyone says about the scheme, for every property developer, it is a godsend. And disappointed that you didn't mention that. But I've got to reduce the 3 to the 2. And I'm going to do so by, unfortunately, Kimberly, asking you to leave. That's how ruthless I am. 3 become 2. So Alfred, what concerns me about you partly is your age, because you're very young. very little life experience. However, I see your potential and your ambition, and I believe I can work with you. Eleanor, very, very bright, had an excellent career in banking already, will have, if not already having, a great career in property development and investment. So do you really need help from me? Can I really work with you? Can we work together in the same way as I can work with Alfred? That's my dilemma. But I've made my decision, and I'm going to go with youth against experience. Alfred, congratulations, you are the property graduate 2021.
After receiving a huge number of applications and following 3 tough rounds, the ever-jovial Alfred has just managed to outperform his fellow contestants to become the first ever property graduate and John's next business partner. Let's see what he has to say about winning this prestigious competition.
Alfie, you only went and won it. How are you feeling?
Really, really excited to get started and get going with the journey in a way.
Did you think you'd be John's property graduate?
Not at all. From the moment I applied, I thought it would be fun to go through the process, but didn't expect it at all.
What are you feeling right now, though?
I don't know. It hasn't sunk in at all. So it would take me a while to kind of register it and kind of get my mind in set.
Are you ready for 12 months hard work?
I'm very ready, yes, indeed.
Do you think you're going to have a lot to prove? Because John did say, that you are young. You might be taking a risk.
I still don't think age matters particularly, so I don't think that's going to be a big player. But I'm young and tenacious, I'm full of energy, so I think it will be a benefit more than a drawback.
How are you going to celebrate?
I haven't even thought about that yet. Didn't expect to be here, so no plans yet. And
what do you feel about winning against 2 other very strong competitors?
Either of those could have just taken the win easily. I must have been such a hard decision to make to choose myself as the candidate. So it must have been such a long, difficult, thought-out process.
We've been a gentleman throughout this process. You've been very humble, and I really wish you the very best of luck for the next 12 months. John, you've picked your property graduate, your first ever. How does that feel?
Well, I have, and I'm very proud of the person I've picked. Alfred, I think, is going to do a great job. He might need to wear a tie from time to time, but apart from that, I think everything should be good.
What was it about Alfie that just struck a chord with you?
From the very first time I met him, I felt that there was someone I could really work with. And interestingly, and I can tell you now, okay, Helen and Fiona, I had to fight to get you in the top 10 with them. Yeah. So it just shows you, but once you're in the top 10, they're super impressed with you. I saw something in you that they didn't. Now,
did you see a young John?
I saw a much brighter young John, maybe, yes. Yes, but you've got so many more attributes than I had at your age. So the future is bright. Whether you find a deal in the next 12 months, we do or not, your future is bright. I'm confident that you will do, but your future is bright whatever you do.
Thank you.
Do you think you've got what it takes to be John's next property graduate? Applications for Property Graduate 2022 are now open, and you can apply today at propertygraduate.tv. Good luck, and if you're good enough, we'll see you there.